Yeah, I'm happy.
This shirt is a munition.
The code, the line of code at the top, which is just repeated in a machine-readable sort of barcode,
Yeah.
is a little program that does encryption stronger than the U.S. government allows you to export because they treat it like a munition.
Cool.
Yeah. So if you wear this T-shirt and cross a border or cross a border from the United States anywhere, you have exported a weapon.
What?
Yeah. Because there's a law called the ITAR, International Trade in Arms Restriction, and it classifies encryption, which protects you from being spied on by your own government, as a weapon, and is the power of it is restricted. So this little line of code is too strong. But it fits on a T-shirt.
That's awesome. How appropriate. How appropriate is that?
This is from the 90s. I know a lot about this before I watched Snowden.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Primarily Critical of Movies at an After Party. This would be it.
If you have not seen this film, we suggest that you do so before listening any further.
We got spoilers, trivia, and opinions like crazy, and we can't wait to share them.
Good, bad, new, old, weird, or gross.
We pass judgment on them all.
Hooray! Does this mean that Big Brother has a big brother? My name is Steve. I'm here with
Greg.
and
Christian.
And today we're talking about Snowden. This was Greg's pick. Hi, Greg.
Hey.
How do you feel about
Hi,
your
NSA.
pick?
Get a still of that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm hoping that somehow Edward finds this video and he laughs at Kristen's background.
He may have a lot of free time.
Yeah, he might.
Yeah. Kind of restricted as to where he can go.
Yep.
Yeah, are you happy with your pick? Did you like your movie?
Yeah, I really liked I liked the movie because it came out and we saw sort of what he did, released it, kind of villainized or whatnot. But I guess it's PR too, right? Like, I mean, it was, he's classified as a traitor, but what he released was the information about the U.S. spying on its own citizens, which is illegal.
Unconstitutional.
Yeah, and against the Constitution. So nobody wants to hear all that. So they made him a traitor, but he's basically a whistleblower, and it's one of those super catch-22s. They want you to whistleblow when something's going on with the company that you're working for, but if the company you're working for is your government and you become a whistleblower, instead of bringing it to the attention of the people who then make the decisions, supposedly, that, they don't like that. So now if you're a traitor, right? And now they want you to come from normal corporations that aren't the government, but then, it's just one of those things that it's like, oh, so you want me to do good, I do good, and I get it in the rear, right? And so I just wanted to look into more of what it was and, how it came about and sort of the backstory. I mean, I'm sure there's PR spin both ways, right? But
Oh, totally. I like to think of myself as a fan of Barack Obama. I want to like him. He did a lot of really good things. I mean, he was trying to shut down Guantanamo, and he did the whole. He did a big service for America, trying to put together healthcare, and this is there's this big Edward Snowden sized stain on what he could have done. Because the previous administration, I understood, threw in the Patriot Act, which made a lot of this possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a whistleblower, and I didn't really realize that most of what Edward Snowden had to go through was during Obama's reign.
Mm.
Um, did you guys know that?
Some of
Well,
it,
after-
yeah. I mean, it's not like Obama get to snap his fingers and change everything that he wanted to change.
Yeah.
Also, it's at the point where you cannot turn off all the spying, otherwise you will miss the terrorists and the crimes and the whatever else, the threats.
Yeah.
But its scope went too far.
Yeah.
Right? Every single citizen in the United States and the world and allies and enemies alike. And then also for the purposes of finding terrorist threats or threats against the country, but also to see if they could get a better deal out of steel trade or industrial espionage.
Yeah. Well, nowadays we see that too in some of the documentaries and movies and stuff that we've been watching. Just the whole idea that information is now the most important resource. It's not oil, it's not whatever. It's about knowing who wants what and what do they have and how can we get this cheaper or to whatever, right? So it's kind of, head expanding. I mean, maybe not mind blowing, but just and that was one of the other reasons, just seeing some of the ones that I've been watching and just wanting to get the background on this more so.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe this is even a little off topic, but BlackBerry phones, they were very popular for a long time. But at some point, there was a government who wanted a backdoor key to.
That was the Saudis.
The Saudis, they wanted a backdoor to every BlackBerry in their country, and BlackBerry gave that to them, and it was like at that moment,
that's where you lost out.
They were done after a couple of years after that.
Well, that's why Apple, they had that whole issue too. Like, didn't they prior or around that time where people wanted access to scan phones, and Apple's like, well, if I give it to you, there's no, really? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna turn off the code and only use it here. Sure, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna stay home and not go out, and I'm gonna wear a mask when I go out. Yeah, like honor among people anywhere. It's to that point where it's like, why would I even trust anybody, right? So I can see why you would fight for that, right? Because the moment you let it out, there's no getting it back.
That's right.
But it's a whole new, battlefield too, in that respect. Like Christian was saying, there's a certain amount that needs to be maintained, obviously, I guess. But it also becomes, it's like, how do you weigh that, and what becomes infringement and what is, and the other thing that we notice is that regardless of how good or whatever you are as, say, a president or a governing body, it's kind of like the funny, it's like cakes with icing. The president is the icing, and the government, which is the cake part underneath, it goes on whether the icing is blue or whether it's red, right? And you see that in multiple governments, right? The people underneath them don't really change, this person or this person, but the elected officials that change. But I'm sure that this section is like, well, we've started this deal 5 years ago, and this is where you're going. You get to put whatever kind of lovely spin you want on it, but it's going ahead.
Yeah, it's also the oversight, right? Who watches the watchers, which that didn't happen. There was Snowden admits that he was spying on his girlfriend, and that's what he uses to deflect the question from his, what's that guy's name? O'Brien?
Yep.
Right? And that's a perfectly plausible answer, because you know what? All the other NSA employees were doing it. They were spying on ex-girlfriends or spouses or whatever.
Well, and even his boss told him that he doesn't have to worry because he was spying into his life too.
Yeah.
So,
his girlfriend, I really liked her. She was very much a free spirit.
So you're calling you're calling him his girlfriend. Aren't they married? She's with him in Russia, right?
Oh yeah, she is now. Yeah.
She put up with a lot of shit from him too.
Yeah, that was a big headache that she could have stepped away from.
But I guess that's the other thing too, right? Like if you're at that point where it's like I'm in a job and I can't tell you about it, your spouse who, it's like, hey, did you hear about this person? Blah 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 blah. But then you've got this other portion that you have to compartmentalize. I've said that wrong. Compartmentalize. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. And you can't share that with someone, right? No wonder it's stress causing.
Well, no wonder it caused epileptic seizures.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she takes a lot of risque pictures, bourgeois, I guess, photography, and she's, I don't know, she's like, I don't care if they're spying on me, right? Mm-hmm. She's kind of playing the devil's advocate while he's going through all this.
Well, yeah, I guess depending on your job and whatnot, like if you're an Instagram model, right? You want to have followers, so you have to be public, and you can't keep things out. And no press. What is it? Good press, bad press. It's the no press, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, where do you draw that line? Because I think she even says that in the movie here. The character that portrays her is like, well, I don't have anything to hide, and he's just like, well, that's a very I don't know, naive way of putting it. Everybody has something to hide, right? So.
Yeah. I don't know.
The moral is just don't get really famous, and they won't be bothering with you.
Yeah, just be fly under the radar.
Yeah.
Well, I've been guilty of that, where I'm like, well, my life is so boring. I mean, who would want to spy on me, really? And I don't have enough money to really change anybody else's life significantly. But I mean, it's also it's wrong for the government to just do. Yeah. I'm gonna collect all your information like Facebook, except this one doesn't have any. There's no limits.
Yeah, but they make all kinds of like faux arguments, like what is it, the straw man or whatever, where it's like, well, if you're not allowing us to collect this because you have nothing to hide, then you're guilty. It's like, no, I'm allowed my personal freedoms, and if you want to get this information, go through the right channels, right? Like get the judge to agree to the wiretap or whatever. But
well, back when we wrote letters, you put your letter in an envelope, right? You didn't put a stamp on the outside of the letter and mail that. You put it in a wrapper so that no one could read it along its way. What do you have to hide?
Yeah,
that's true.
Oh man.
Yeah. But in workplaces you have all these other things too, right? Like you have the flip side to that. It's like, oh, you got to speak English, because if you're speaking another language, you could be talking about something. But if you're not talking to the person you're talking about. So who's worse? The person that's eavesdropping on your conversation that they are not part of, or is it you because you're talking another language so they can't hear what you're saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like it becomes one of those, it's like, oh, well, I said it first, so they're wrong. As opposed to, well, I said it first, so you're wrong. Right?
I want to be able to plan to rob a bank in every detail, but not actually do it. and they want to take that away from me.
Yeah. But if you did do that and they kicked in your door before you did it, are you guilty because you didn't rob any bank? You may have planned to rob a bank or done all the like, I don't know,
Oh.
You might have been wargaming or simulating or playing a video game or a role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I've been guilty of that, trying to find floor plans for buildings that I have no right getting floor plans for.
You can just make those up, Steve.
Delete browser history. Delete.
This is Fort Knox. It's 4 rooms. What? Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if you delete your browser history because they already read it while you were loading it.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
did you not watch the movie, Steve?
I watched the movie. It made me sad.
Yeah.
It made me sad for humanity.
I was disappointed in Snowden that he didn't mask his CIA IP address when he was creeping on his date's website, and she called him out on it. Like, hey, you visited my site like 14 times last night from a Virginia website or a Virginia address.
In his defense, he didn't think that she was savvy enough.
Well, I don't know. That could be worse.
Yeah.
That's
your fault.
It's the impression he left on that date.
Yeah, but like she knew enough to do that, but it should have been much easier for him to explain things in the future. Like, remember that thing we talked about on the first date? Yeah, like on a bigger scale, and no one would have known, right? He had that back channel, right?
But I think his issue was that by not telling her, he kept her safe, right? Like she wouldn't become a target. Whereas the moment she finds out, now she's accomplice, so she gets, instead of joining him in Russia, she's joining him in the next cell, right? Because she knew.
Well, the age old, technique for that is you have these conversations in the shower together, because not only does the humidity wreck most listening devices, the white noise drowns them out.
Good to know. Shower conversations.
Shower conversations. That's right. We should have this podcast in the shower.
I'm good.
How do you know we're not already in the shower?
Yeah, this background. Yeah, there's water going.
They didn't talk about Canada at all, and sadly, I'm a little less familiar with how my government is currently spying on me. Are you guys hip to the Canadian antics?
Well, we had that back. Oh, go ahead.
We were part of the Five Eyes. Canada's part of the Five Eyes ally of intelligence gathering, so Canada was complicit in some of this.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Well, and during the federal, when it was the PC, right? There was that whole big issue. That was the comment. Well, if you're not with them, you're against us, or if you're not with us, you're against us. And to the point where they went and they pointed out the freedom of information, where if people don't go, they're not getting it. But what was the guy? They went and found his divorce history here. The Liberals went and sent an aide, and he went through the public record, right? So it wasn't illegal, but that guy got really mad when they looked into his political record. I forget the security.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, I'll get the info, and then too late.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm sure there are a few listeners out there who knows what he's talking about. So yeah, they can clue us all in.
Yeah.
Exactly. Any other questions?
How did he get the micro SD card into the underground base? Because we saw how he got it out. I mean, it's all fictional. Nobody really knows how he got the data out. So that's one of the things I looked up. Like, how did he actually exfiltrate that data?
In his butt.
In his butt. Well,
definitely.
The millimeter X-ray looked right through your butt.
Oh yeah.
But he got that card in there, and then he got the card out by sneaking it past the guard by chucking it to him.
Well, theoretically, it was empty, right? So he
could have got it
from there.
If you have a strict policy of no copying to SD cards, there are no SD cards in the facility. And there's no readers in the side of the keyboards on any NSA computer. It's fiction. They had to do something.
Well, yeah, but there's also it's supposed to have this strict policy of no SD cards, but it's really a lot easier to pass a card. I could see complacency playing a part in that, um,
Hmm.
I didn't expect to see Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
That was out of the blue. Oh, who was the
He's
other
fresh
guy?
off his stint from what the hell's that the movie series called? Where he steals
National
the Declaration.
Treasure.
That's
National
the one.
Treasure.
Yeah. That's where he wound up after that.
It was also Timothy Oliphant. I'm a fan of his too. I didn't expect to see him.
Where was he?
He was the buddy. He was a CIA buddy.
Oh, the Shaggy guy?
Buddy, yeah.
Okay.
A guy that you would expect to do the pointy guns.
Yeah, the finger guns. Yeah.
Should we get into this trivia?
Let's do it.
All right. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's the guy that portrays our hero. Pledged to donate his entire salary from the film to, quote, help facilitate the conversation, end quote, about the relationship between technology and democracy. Interesting. I wonder what charities you would look up for that kind of thing.
EFF.
What does that stand for?
Electronic Frontier.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got a sticker on the back of his laptop in the last interview he does. EFF.org.
Okay.
They were the guys that were fighting about that appointment from Pratt. Pijat, the guy that carries the big Reese mug that was like, trying to destroy free internet, right? Or whatever what was that in the United States? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, AJ, the FCC chairman?
Pajat, yeah.
Yeah.
They were trying to make it so that it was like, oh, well, we can throttle this and throttle that instead of making it neutral, net neutrality.
Yeah. The real Edward Snowden advised Oliver Stone that the NSA's command centers are actually run on tight budgets and are far less glamorous than they appear on movies and TV shows. Yeah, they're probably pretty dingy.
Yeah.
Not the cybernetic futuristic atriums with.
Yeah, you got particle board desks and
Yeah, and that gray carpeting and that you get it by the million yards.
yeah, totally.
But it's not good movie, whatever. So you kick it up a notch, right?
Yeah.
During the film shoot in Germany, Oliver Stone's mother died. Taking the necessary time off would have left the production unable to complete the film within its budget and schedule. So Stone missed her funeral. Oh,
I'm a little bit disappointed in Oliver Stone there. I mean, if you don't have a second in command who can hold the fort for a day, so you can go to your mother's funeral, just shoot B-roll, or you know what, like.
You would think that it would be somehow possible. You wouldn't think that being a movie director would exclude you from certain things like that.
Yeah, but is it cutthroat? Like, because if he did that, would he then have to put that other person as co-director? Like, would he lose status? You know what I mean? Like in the movie world, being the director and being a sub-director or whatever you call it, like.
I didn't think I would hope.
How many mothers' funerals do you expect to go to in your life?
No, not at all. I just mean it's just something like that. Like, like if you're, you're hit by a bus or something, right? Like now it's a co-movie. It's not just all you, right?
It's Hollywood's. Sometimes I get the impression that they're super cutthroat, and then other times. More of the independent movies. They're all like, woo, whatever. Edward Snowden. I don't know. Maybe I can call him Eddie. Eddie's parents attended a screening of the film and praised Joseph Gordon-Levitt for his portrayal of their son. The actor said it was the most meaningful encouragement he has ever received for a performance. And I could see that, because
you did a good job.
Yeah. I mean, how often do you get to talk to your subjects' parents? And he did good. He had the voice down, everything. Yeah.
Yep.
So you should try and make sure that your webcam
There's a little slider over it.
has a slider on it.
Slider. Or you just unplug it.
And you know, take care of yourself. We like you, especially because you're watching us.
Plan your bank heist in the shower.
Yeah, exactly. Plan in the shower.
Waterproof plans.
Laminated bank plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. That was Snowden. We're primarily critical. You're awesome. Primarycritical.com.
Except you, NSA. F you.
Except you, NSA.
Ooh, careful at the border.
That's all right.
Yeah. That explains some things.
Bye.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.